Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome once again. So, welcome to week 5. We have made it to week 5. Welcome. Welcome to week 5 of our development phase for the Africa SDG Mentorship Programme. Who is excited? Let me see some excitement in the chat. Let's see some excitement in the comment section. Who is excited? This is week 5. Wow. How are we doing? How was your week? Hope your week went great. We're nearing the end of the week. How are you doing? How was your week? Let's just have some comments. Let's have some comments. Was the week great? Was it insightful? Was it stressful? How was the week for you? Oh, my week has been good. It's been good. So welcome once again to week 5 of the development phase of the Africa SDG Mentorship Programme. Welcome. Organized by AIIDEV Africa. Welcome. So who is excited for today? Who is excited for today? I mean, how was last week? How was last week for you? Last week we dealt with design thinking and innovation, and seeing your comments last week, I know that you really took home a lot. You took home a lot from our session last week with our very own facilitator, Dr. Aderinsola Adio Adikboju. How was it for you? Just give us some recap. How was that last week learning experience for you? Let me see some recap in the comment section. Let's see. Let's give a minute. Some recap. One significant thing that you learned in last week's session on design thinking and innovation. Let me see some recap. Come on, let's have some things in the comment. Just one key takeaway. One key takeaway that you had. One key takeaway. Great. So I know that for me, that session was insightful. It was eye-opening. It was inspiring. It was enlightening. It was enriching. I've run out of words. It was truly wonderful. Can we just have some hand claps again for our facilitator last week, Dr. Aderinsola Adio Adikboju? Let's have some hand claps. For her. I mean, she did a great job. Great. All right. So we are back again for another week of our development phase. This is week 5. And this week, we are going to be looking at ESG and sustainability. Who's excited for this? ESG and sustainability. Come on, let me see your excitement. Are you truly excited? Are you ready? Let's see some excitement in the chats, in the comments. Come on. Let me get some excitement. Or you could even start to write, what are the things one key thing that you are looking forward to, one key expectation you have from today's session on ESG and sustainability. What is one key thing that you want to learn and you want to take away from the session today? I mean, when you hear ESG and sustainability as a topic, that is very exciting. So what is one key thing that you want to take away from today's session today? What do you want to take away from this session today? Let me have it in the comment section. Let's have it in the comment section. I'm giving you some time. Let me give you some time. And guess what? We even have a facilitator set and ready. We have a very wonderful person with us today. As you know, AIIDEV Africa, all our facilitators are always superb. They always have a lot of insight for us in every session. And today we have one such person again, who is an ESG and sustainability expert. We have an expert with us today. So you can imagine that today is going to be beyond enlightening and enriching. So as we get ready for the session today, I'm just going to go right ahead and introduce our facilitator. I'm going to read out his profile. So are we ready? Are we ready for our facilitator today? Our facilitator today is none other than Oluwaseun Agbebi. He is a sustainability and an ESG expert. Can I just see some hand claps before I even read out his bio? Let's get some hand claps. I mean, are you excited that this is our facilitator for today? Let's have some hand claps. All right. Okay, so let me go right ahead to read out his bio. for our facilitator for today. So Oluwaseun is a certified sustainability and ESG professional with over 11 years cross-cultural and cross-sectoral experience. He has worked across consulting, FMCG, agriculture, manufacturing, mining, and the oil and gas sectors in Nigeria, and not just in Nigeria, in Africa, delivering strategic sustainability and ESG solutions to meet organizations' needs in line with several sustainable development frameworks, local and international regulatory requirements, and global sustainability best practices. Wow. I could say we're in the presence of ESG and sustainability royalty today. 11 plus years of work experience. I mean, get your books, get your pens, and be ready. Today is going to be rich. All right, let me go right ahead. Now, he has led and managed various ESG requirements and engagements with investors, lenders, development partners, and impact funds, such as the World Bank IFC, the AFDB, KFW, FMO, DFID, USAID, IFAD, AGRA, GIZ, EDFI AgriFi, ADH FarmFit, Nestle, Skoll Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the MasterCard Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, amongst others. Come on. I told you we are in the presence of ESG and sustainability royalty today. He has also led and delivered over 35 sustainability reports and ESG disclosures written in compliance with relevant frameworks. Codes such as the GRI standards, the UN SDGs, the UNGC, CDP, SASB, IIRC, VRF, TCFD, EcoVadis, SEDEC, Bonsucro, IFC Performance Standards, etc. He has an MSc in Sustainability and Environmental Management from the University of Derby, UK. So any University of Derby alumni here is one of your fellow alumnus. He also has related professional certifications, licenses, and memberships from the GRI, the ISO, the ISSP, the IEMA, ICRS, NES, ASPN, etc. He is an ISO 2600 social response 26,000, I beg your pardon. He is an ISO 26,000 social responsibility certified lead auditor, implementer, and trainer. And he is a certified sustainability excellence associate of the International Society of Sustainability Professionals, that is the ISSP. Wow. That was wonderful. So guess what? That is our facilitator for today. I told you why the presence of ESG and sustainability royalty here. So are you now even more excited? Are you now even more eager to learn from our facilitator for today? So without further ado, let us make welcome with some claps in the comment section our facilitator for today, Mr. Oluwaseun Agbebi. Mr. Oluwaseun Agbebi, it's so great to have you. Please go right ahead, sir.
My name is Oluwaseun. Thank you for that wonderful profile. So let's move on. So my presentation is in four, permission to say 4 buckets. First, we'll talk about ESG and sustainability generally. Let's just understand what this term is all about. And may I warn us ahead, there's a lot of acronym, so we call it the alphabet soup. We'll talk about that, then we'll move to some key concepts. When we are done with that, I will briefly highlight sustainability report as a framework for sustainability and ESG performance. And then I will end up with a little brief on career paths in the sustainability and ESG space. So the buzzword sustainability It's a buzzword. I know we use that word quite a lot. And the word was first used in 1987 during the Butland Commission, which is the World Commission on Environment and Development, where they says sustainable development is a development that meets the present need without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own need. So when we talk of sustainability, I know the way we use the word sustainability generally, we use it in our day-to-day life to say, oh, something is sustainable. The word sustainability is talking of maintaining something without disruption, even though you are daily interacting with it. But the word sustainability itself as a definition talks more about impact of businesses, impact of organization. When businesses conduct their day-to-day operation, they are bound to have operational impact. They are bound to have economic impact, environmental impact, social impact, governance impact, impact on reputation, on brand. And that is where this word sustainability started coming up. And it's just talking of the nexus between economy, making daily living, day-to-day profitability or endeavor to make profit or make a living, and how it interacts with environment, which is the planet, and interacts with social, which is the people. And social here is not just people outside the organization like the community. Social here also refers to employees, refers to other stakeholders, right? That either we consciously interact with on a day-to-day basis and some less frequently. So sustainability is the word that has come to stay. But the advent of sustainability became more propagated when we started having the Sustainable Development Goals from 2015, which came out from the Millennium Development Goals. If you could remember, that was in 2000 when we entered the new millennium and we had the MDGs. But in 2015, we then have the SDGs. But before then, 1987 was really when the word sustainable development was first defined. And this is the definition, as I said earlier. So when a business or an organization or an entrepreneur or an individual have a business approach that is not just focused on profits, but creates long-term shareholder value. I will talk about stakeholder value, and stakeholders, we'll talk about stakeholders later. And this business creates the long stakeholder value. It embraces opportunities. It manages its risk associated with development of economic development, environmental development, and social development. We say such a business is a sustainable business. I am conscious of the fact that we live in a world where people have bastardized the word 100 sustainable brands, and they say 50 top sustainable brands and the manufacturing. So I'm conscious of that. But the real definition of a brand being sustainable is beyond the longevity or how long that brand has existed. Rather, it is on the business approach where long-term stakeholder values are being created, and then the business is able to manage its development and its impact. Every development has two sides to it. It has risk, which are negative impacts, and it has opportunities, which are positive impacts. So let's bear that in our mind as we proceed, and we talk about this buzzword. Another way sustainability is that sustainability is looked at from what we call the 3 pillars approach. So no matter how you define sustainability, whether it's a definition crafted by Shane Wagbebi or a definition crafted by Josin or Emmanuel or any other person on this call, 3 pillars of sustainability must be present. You must look at the economic part, you must look at the environmental part, and you must look at the social part. And this is where I usually draw the line, that being an advocate for climate change, you've seen stories of people who throw the oil paints in Europe when a CEO is trying to make a press statement, especially CEOs of the top 100 companies, and then you then start doing climate change activism and advocacy. While I support climate change advocacy, I must also state that it is a branch under the environmental sustainability, climate change, but you cannot say an organization should be committed to sustainability when the organization will not think about its economic profitability. So what we are saying here is that while you think of these economics, the balance sheet, the P&L, making profits, returning dividend to shareholders, you must do that in a sustainable manner. And that's why we use the word sustainable profits. You must do that creating value. You must do that managing your impact. You must do that because you are not just focused traditionally on economic or financial, while you are neglecting the environment and social. You must do that in an holistic fashion where you consider the three pillars. So we say sustainability has three pillars: economic, environmental, and social. Why is economic featuring here? It's because the things and the resources and the capabilities we need to make advancements in either reclaiming Mother Earth, reducing the footprint and the impact on natural resources, or the impact on social well-being and people and cultural issues, require material or financial resources. So a company cannot be doing sustainability and tilt to either economic alone and then or tilt so much to just environment and social. They have to be that balanced approach. So businesses in their operation should not ignore these internalities and externalities that happen. Internalities and externalities refers to day-to-day impact, day-to-day operations, day-to-day development. So if you look at that chart that is to your left, a sustainable brand has been able to intersect very well environmental, economic, and social issues. So I move on. Still on sustainable growth, and I want to really lay the foundation very well. But now I will lay this foundation from the angle of ESG. So we've defined sustainability, we've explained sustainability. There's another buzzword, ESG. And somebody is an ESG professional, an ESG expert, a sustainability expert. ESG actually stands for the acronym Environment, Social, and Governance. And this basically refers to set of standards that sustainability conscious investors use to track and measure the performance of businesses, the investment risk that they pose, as well as how bad or good they will perform on ESG indicator. Let me give this example here. You want to approach an investor, come and invest in my business. And let me say, for the sake of this example, it's a manufacturing plant. You don't have enough capital, then you approach a bank or you approach an investor and you say you need $100 million, for example. The investor would first of all look at your ability to repay back the capital and the accrued interest. Do we agree on that? That's what they are conscious about, ability to pay back their loan, because it's not a grant, right? It's not a seed funding, it's a loan. And while the investor is doing that, that person is looking at the financial issues that could stop you from being profitable, whereby you then repay back your facility. Investors have now gone beyond looking at financial performance to also looking at the non-financial issues that could stop you from paying back such facility. So you have your plant, the plant is running well, running fine, and week 1, 2 persons drop dead. Week 2, community riots. Week 3, environmental sanctions from the government. Week 4, there is a reputational brand issue because of a negative publicity. By week 6, something has also happened. Things that are not financial, that are non-financial in its sense. What that means is that these non-financial issues will stop you from performing, will then make that investment a high-risk investment. So what investors then do is to say, as we are giving you this facility or this loan or this funding, we will not just rate your business case, your business strategy, your ability to your return on investment, your ability to pay back. We also want to rate your non-financial issues, which are called the ESG indicators, your environmental indicators, issues around waste, water, pollution, environmental compliance, right? Your social issues around employee engagement, ethics, diversity, inclusion, hiring and firing of employees, community relations, right? Issues around governance. Oh, do you have the regulatory permit to operate? What are the government policies, programs that would affect this plant from operating, and so on? Then they check it, they rate it. These are called the ESG indicators. And then a company with an high ESG scoring is termed to be low investment risk. Why and a good investment? While a company with a what? Low ESG scoring is said to be what? A high risk investment and a bad investment. So traditional, majorly institutional investors are now using these ESG scores and performance to critically assess their investment yardstick. Here in Nigeria, if you are getting a facility that is above 50 million naira, and that will be in the USD value of, if someone can punch that maths for me with our current exchange rate, that's around the $5 million mark, right? And you are getting such loan facility from any commercial bank. They will not just look at your business case or strategy. They will also do what is called an ESG due diligence, and then they will do an ESG assessment of your business case before they could grant such kind of facility to you. And so bear this in mind, that for that company, for that manufacturing firm or that facility that we talked about, when they do their day-to-day running, they will be thinking of sustainability. But when an investor is coming to assess them, the investor is assessing them using what? ESG indicators. So a sustainable organizations are assess their corporate performance using what is called the balance scorecard. And so ESG are criteria to evaluate a company's sustainability performance. Now, if you look at the chart at the downward side, governance talks of company leadership, management philosophy, policies, procedure, and I've done a lot of interface with investors. Before you get any funding, I'll give you a common example. One of the current investors we're trying to close out a facility from is IDH FarmFit. You could Google them and check them out. IDH FarmFit, after we've checked all our model, they were fine. They then came back to say, these are the environmental gaps we found in this organization, and you have to close it out with this ESAP, Environmental and Social Action Plan, which is similar to what we call an ESMP in your environmental impact assessment study. And so I don't want to go too technical this morning. So all investors do not just look at your ROI. They also look at your ESG score. So we could use ESG and sustainability interchangeably, but if you are talking to the financial sector or you are talking from the angle of an investor, the best way to describe is to look at what we call the ESG indicators, ESG stock, ESG issues, ESG performance, and so on. Let's move on. So businesses, like I said earlier, by nature of operating, will have positive and negative impacts. I like this diagram a lot. There's a cafeteria, and we could see our wonderful man there enjoying his life with a stick of cigarettes. The two other guys by the side, okay, a guy and a lady, are not smokers, but by the virtue of sitting close to him, are already enjoying the impact. And I use the word enjoy loosely there. The fumes, they are now secondary smokers, right? They are secondhand smokers. This is a business entirely. These are individuals. This is you and me. We commute. I decide to move from here to New York by flight. I have impact. Impact in the CO2 emission. Impact in the amount I pay the airline, that the airline then adds to its profitability, pays employees his wages, right? I have impact. The person that drives me to the airport would have consumed some liters of petrol. That's an impact, right? I have impact because it affects my own bottom line too. And these are impact, right? So anything we do or anything organization do has impact. So sustainable business should be concerned about this impact and how it affects the well-being of several issues around them. Well-being of the business, well-being of the people. We talk of human rights, equity, fairness, good labor practice, host communities, health and safety, issues of reputation and social license to operate. Remember, social license are license given to you by a community or a set of people that necessarily is not a certificate. It is the goodwill of the people on how you operate within their environment and how they perceive your reputation. Well-being of physical environment, legal or regulatory compliance, issues of corporate governance, tax, board oversight, leadership, anti-corruption, contribution to sustainable development goals, which is very apt for us in this class, that will talk of innovation and business continuity and relevance. So what are these common ESG issues? I took these issues are by no means exhaustive. It's a very long list and it's growing. It keeps increasing, right? So these are just examples. When you talk of environmental issues, you talk of climate change, carbon emission, air and water pollution, biodiversity, deforestation. So I want to start a new complaint and I need to pull down some trees. And then I have to think of my biodiversity. I have to think of, oh, if I do this deforestation, how do I make up for it? How do I mitigate this impact? Issues of energy efficiency. I want to decide between one set of equipment to another equipment. I will look at not just power consumption, I will look at operational efficiency, energy efficiency, issues of waste management, water scarcity, natural resources. These are all environmental issues, and the list goes on and on and on. Social issues, we talk of customer satisfaction, data protection and privacy, gender issues, diversity issues. One of the key things, if you remember, the issues of the Black Lives Matters brought was that top 100 companies in the world started having what they call a diversity quota, where they are now saying, okay, in our operations, we want to employ 5 to 10% people that are racially Black, so as to show diversity, right? Ethnic diversity, racial diversity. We talk of employee engagement, community relations, human rights, not saying, oh, because they are minority group, their human rights and their aspirations cannot be heard, should not be listened to, issues of stakeholder engagement, labor standards, women and community empowerment, and so on and so forth, community youth empowerment. Governance issues like board composition, audit committee. Does the organization have policies and plans around bribery, corruption, whistleblowing, lobbying? Remember, some people will tell you there's no between lobbying and bribing, right? So what's the policy? What are the governance procedure around political contribution, whistleblowing, transparency? Is there a systemic risk management in the organization, in the business, in the entrepreneur? And may I say this? All these can be done, can be assessed, can be practiced at different level. For a company of under 50 employee to a company of under 1,000 employees, and I've been lucky to work in and force organizations of those category. For example, Dangote Industries Limited cement alone has about 15,000 employees across about 12 countries. Talk of refinery alone having about 5,000 employees. I've also worked in an organization where they are less than 2,000 employees, worked for organizations where they are 100 employees. What am I saying here is that irrespective of the size of the organization, the business, or the NGO or whatsoever, we can all practice this at various levels and at various degrees. The stakeholder engagement, for example, plan or strategy for a conglomerate, right, or in 30 countries will be different from a stakeholder engagement for AIIDEV and Sons that has only one branch in Lagos, Nigeria. So start thinking that these things are not too big and they are not too small to implement. We move on to a balanced scorecard. So for a business, like I explained, irrespective of how big or small or large or widespread the business is, for a business to say that it has a balanced scorecard, that business must look at its performance in the triple bottom line. So when I go in to pitch for somebody or speak to someone, I do not just say the balance sheet, right? I say the bottom line, the triple bottom line. The balance sheet for every business is a statement of accounts, how profitable the business is, right? But in sustainability, we look at the triple bottom line, the impact on people, the impact on planet, the impact on profit. So when businesses consider the first two non-financial, talking of just people, planet, as part of its performance appraisal strategy, in addition to profits, we say such a business is said to have a balanced scorecard. So consideration of just profit is imbalance and can tilt the business dangerously. And start thinking of brands and business brands in your mind. Let's not mention it because we don't know who belongs to who, right? But the ones I can mention as examples, I will, and I'll put caveats when I need to. So start thinking of businesses around the world that have been focused only on profit, profit, profit. What happened to the other pillars? You will notice they had issues with their people and they had issues with the planet. A very good example I can give is Shell Nigeria, when they were starting their exploration in Nigeria. I worked within the oil sector for about 5 years and consulting for them. There's this common language, if you've been to the Niger Delta, they will tell you production must not stop. Production must not stop. That was a Shell phrase. A phrase used by Shell Nigeria saying, even if 20 people drops dead due to pollution in the community, production must not stop. And that is where a business is focusing on what? Profit, neglecting the environmental impact and social impact. And we know what has happened to Shell Nigeria now. They've basically sold off their assets. They've moved offshore where they have, in quotes, less impact with people and less interaction with people. And now there's still that case. It led to the killing of Ken Saro-Wiwa, the Ogoni people. I went back also to Ogoni land in 2020, 2021. My consulting firm was lucky to be part of those that did Ogoni land cleanup. And we went back, and I will tell you that 30 decades of years after this pollution issue, the pollution, the level of contamination in the soil is still very evident. We went there for a cleanup, drilling boreholes, 10-meter boreholes, and I can still smell hydrocarbon at 10-meter level in those boreholes. The groundwater is gone. So restoration is more expensive to do. Why? Because even though Shell Nigeria had its own part to play, the community people started partaking also in bunkery, vandalization, and so on. Say, I will punish Shell. They were punishing Shell, breaking pipelines, vandalizing pipelines, and they were polluting their own environment, polluting their water body, polluting their source of livelihood, their fisheries, their farmlands, and so on. So what I'm saying here is that we cannot afford as individuals and as organizations to be tilted to just profit or be tilted to just environment or people. There needs to be this synergy and has to be well balanced to achieve the triple bottom line. So what then means to say a sustainable business? A sustainable business for me is defined as a smart business. A sustainable business is sustainable. It balances the interests of people, planet, and profit. It is meaningful. It creates purposeful value across stakeholder group. A sustainable business is adaptable. It adjusts to and cope with or initiate positive industry and societal changes. It's responsible. Do the right thing, irrespective of circumstance. Trustworthy. Generate significant goodwill and social capital over time by being true to their strategic purpose. So the question I have to you is that, are you sustainable? Are you smart in your organization? Are you smart in your way of doing things? Are you smart in whatever you do? Potter and Kramer, there's this quote from the Harvard Business Review article in 2011. It says, not all profit is equal. Profit involving a social purpose represents a high form of capitalism, one that creates a positive value, a positive circle of complaint and community prosperity. Not all profit is equal. Some profits are more meaningful than the other because that profit has created social value to the environment or to the community or to people in the company. I move on. What are the importance of sustainability and ESG? I think I've highlighted a few of them as I was going through. Reduction. When we start practicing sustainability and we are conscious about sustainability and ESG, we reduce. What do we reduce? We reduce waste, we reduce costs, we reduce risk, we reduce liability. We create value in the market in terms of sales, in terms of opportunity. We attract. We attract investors, we attract funds, we attract capitals, we attract talent, we attract goodwill, right? Corporate reputation. There are some brands that catches my attention more than some brands. Why? Because of the kind of perception, the brand reputation, their loyalty, their good relationship with the community. Opportunities. Sustainability and ESG creates opportunity for innovation. One of the critical innovations we have in the world now is circular economy, where we start thinking of how can we repurpose items because of plastic pollution. Then some opportunities and innovation comes around smart agriculture, smart technology. People now focusing more attention on small businesses at different locations in Africa. It's because of sustainability and ESG. We're now having this productivity and innovative thinking, right? Competitive advantage through enhanced engagement, return on investment, and financial performance. Stakeholder engagement is very, very important, and we must bear that in mind. It also helps you meet growing demands of ESG savvy customers and investors. We now have products that they write on the product saying, why we're making this chocolate, right? You see a chocolate bar, and then they say, this chocolate, we try as much as possible, we did not use child labor. Because some people want to see that trademark before they even buy the chocolate. So we now have ESG conscious customers who look at the labeling of a product to see, is it sustainable? Does it have a sustainability logo? Does it have a sustainability seal on it? Then we talk of compliance, environmental, regulatory compliance. Then we talk of sustainable growth and profit. All these are the importance of practicing sustainability, thinking of ESG, thinking of sustainability in our organization, be it small, be it big, in our own organization as entrepreneurs, or like me now, I'm doing consulting also in whatever I do. And when we do all this, it brings about brand superiority and longevity. And we move on to what are the risks and opportunities of non-compliance when you don't do sustainability, when you don't manage your E&S issues properly. It results in regulatory infringement. It results in punitive fines and penalties, lawsuits, liabilities. You lose your market share, competitiveness results in that. And I'll give 2 examples. BMW, if you remember the falsification of the carbon emission test result of BMW, how it affected the performance of the stock. A video that just came out last week, if anybody had seen it, I think I'll take a pause here to check the chat. If you've seen the video from Apple that was released last week about Moderates, has anybody seen that video from Apple that talks of Moderates? Anybody? Let me yeah, someone has seen it. Chinazo from Abuja. That video had created a buzz. What buzz has it created? The buzz where Apple was able in 5 minutes, 30 seconds video to summarize its sustainability report, its environmental performance and climate performance in its sustainability report within 5 minutes. Trying to talk about, we are targeting eco-this in the next 20 years. We've reduced our energy by 30%, this and that. Those are smart ways, in quotes, that an organization was able to boost up its market share. That same kind of video, look at the reverse, could also affect the market share and competitiveness of the organization. Then we talk of reputational and negative publicity, loss of goodwill, inability to attract and retain the best of talent. The organizations that had said, look, I will not join you, not because I don't want their money, right? But because I feel it did not align with my own core values and do not align with my own, with the things I want to be associated with. And all these are part of the risk of non-compliance with sustainability and ESG. So moving on. Let's catch it. I have 2 case studies here of when some companies adopted sustainability. Look at this wonderful result from Aberdeen Group in 2009, even though it's quite old data, but look at it here, 60% reduction, 6% reduction in energy costs, 7% reduction in facility costs, reduction in transportation. I like the 16% increase in customer retention and 10% reduction in paper costs. And another one here talks of two complaints, those that adopted sustainability and those that did not. Yes, says, oh, we have a business case for sustainability, and the 20% say they do not have, but there is a 200% increase in what sustainability has added to the profitability. So we will do sustainability. We will think of ESG. It will cost us money, right? But it will cost us less because we would have avoided spending less on our production resources and raw material. We would have spent less on energy because we are conscious of it. We would have reduced waste, reduced operational costs, reduced litigation, attract investors, and retain talent. I used to say this when I say this a lot when I go in for it to pitch to someone, and I'll say, luckily, I'm working with a QSR in Nigeria now, I and my team, and we will be releasing the first sustainability report in the quick service industry in Nigeria. I will not mention the QSR name, so that when it creates a lot of buzz, you will know, okay, Sheon said so. When we were pitching to them, they were looking at sustainability report and saying, let's make it a marketing tool. I said, no. By the time we are done with your sustainability strategy and then finish up with your sustainability report, one thing that will be so evident for your business is that you will see areas where you've been losing money, and you will see areas where you could set targets to gain more money. Even though you are going to pay us money, you are going to pay us money to for the consultancy service and to execute the project. So what am I saying is that sustainability will cost you money, but the return on investment is those costs that you will avoid. For example, cost of litigation, regulatory liability, operational cost, then becomes your return on investment while doing. Another one is attracting and retaining brands. You are conscious of your employee engagement. You are conscious of employees' opinion, feedback. You handle whistleblowing, issues of corruption, issues of grievances very well in your organization. You will not lose the best of talent. I remember, if you lose a talent, somebody who is currently collecting $50,000 per annum, you lose that talent now. It takes you 6 months or 3 months to replace the talent. The next person that will fill that role, the person will not collect $50,000. The person will want to collect something higher. So you will lose money within the period. You will lose money trying to recruit, and then you will pay more for such talent and best brain. Let's move on. Let's look at some key concepts. Let's look at some key ESG and sustainability concepts. The first one is broad ESG themes. ESG is quite broad, but I've always suggested these broad themes for businesses. So you want to practice ESG, you want to embed ESG, you want to incorporate ESG. There are things you need to consider when selecting the broad theme for broad ESG team for your business. First thing is, consider your ESG requirements and engagement with your stakeholders, like your investors, your communities, your employees, and so on. Stakeholders are in different categories. What are they thinking of in terms of ESG? Go ahead, Dunsin, is that for me? What are they thinking of in terms of ESG requirements or engagement? When you consider all this, you embed it and use it as part of what will form your ESG broad team. You also consider how you will implement your environment and social management plan. Your environment and social management plan, your management system, your action plan, in accordance with requirements and international best practice. Remember, that's also a consideration. You also think of what your stakeholders' demands and expectations are in terms of compliance, in terms of implementation, in terms of reporting. Then you also consider what is your key impact in terms of social and environmental impact, and you look at global best practice. When you merge these 5 points together, you then use it to design your own ESG broad team. And I'm giving you an example of a broad team here. And this is one I did for a company not quite long. The broad teams for this organization were categorized under management, roadmap, and strategy. So this is where the company will start thinking of, what's our target by 2030? What's our environmental target by 2025? How many percent of energy do we want to reduce? How many percent of talent do we want to retain? How many percent of our customer satisfaction do we want to think of? All these forms the management plan, the roadmap, and the strategy. Then they start thinking of data. data for reporting, data to manage. Do we want to use a real-time data management system? Do we want to have a spreadsheet that will be doing month-on-month tracking? What type of data do we need under environment, under social, under governance, right? The third team talks about assessment studies and audit. Oh, do we need a biodiversity audit? Do we need a due diligence audit? Do we need a social impact assessment study to know what our impact is on the social fabric? Do we need an economic impact study? That falls under assessment studies and audit. I'm becoming passionate when I start talking of these teams, right? Because I'm also a consultant. So the other part is talk of reporting. How many of these frameworks, and I will tell you this, sustainability and ESG frameworks are gazillion, they are much. But how many of these frameworks and disclosures or principles am I expected to comply with as an organization, as an individual? So you start thinking of that under the pillar of disclosures and reporting compliance. Then you start thinking of policies, plans, code and standard. Do I have a child labor policy? Do I have a stakeholder engagement plan? Do I have a what's it called? Just a second, I'm thinking of a policy that will, do you have a grievance management system, a whistleblowing policy, right? Do I have a board governance policy that will tell my board that this is how you can choose remuneration for yourself, so that one board director does not just sit there and give himself a remuneration that is times 1 million of what the old business will get or can get at point in time. All right, let's move on. Issues of awareness, issues of campaign, training, capacity building, right? And talk of certification, membership. So which organizations do I need to belong to? Which certification do I need to be part of? For example, I'm in the sugar industry, I will need the Bonsucro certification. I'm in the oil and palm industry, I will need the RSPO certification to show to people that my product is RSPO certified. I'm in the cocoa industry, I will need the certification on saying that my cocoa was produced ethically, without child labor. Things like that. And you talk of issues around investors, around partners, around other functional support. Let me put this caveat here. Sustainability and ESG can be driven by somebody or a team as a function. But for us to do sustainability and ESG, it requires all departments, all functions, and all teams in the organization. What the sustainability or ESG team or manager or director or C-suite executive will do will be to use the expertise to integrate, align, flag risk and opportunities, ESG risk and opportunities, sustainability risk and opportunities, flag these risks and opportunities, and then be able to integrate and incorporate across board. Let's move on. The other concept I want to explain is materiality assessment. Materiality assessment is the process of defining the ESG issues, which ESG issues are both important to the long-term success of the business and also more important to the stakeholders. So a materiality assessment, for example, is a full-blown assessment. It starts from surveys, opinion pool, media scan, we do some data analysis, we do some ranking, but the end result of a materiality assessment is called a materiality matrix, similar to what you are seeing on your screen, where you will then rank issues that are important to the stakeholder and important to the business. You rank them based on low, medium, high. And then the business then use this materiality matrix and start addressing these issues one by one. The ones that are of high risk and important, are then used, then form the core basis or core issues that organization will address on the short term. Why the medium issues are addressed on the medium term and the low issues are addressed maybe on the long term as they go on gradually. So these assessments will give you an idea, when I mean you as an individual, an organization, an NGO, a company, of where the greatest risk to the business and the welfare of the stakeholders are, and how to leverage the tool for measuring the efficacy and the maturity of your work in ESG. So a company says they want to start doing renewable energy, they want to diversify, they want to increase their renewable energy by using alternative fuel sources. And I will use one of the businesses I've worked in. Well, the plan was to grow the alternative fuel sources. And I mean alternative, I mean converting waste to energy, to grow it from what it was 0.2% at some point, and they wanted to grow it to 10% in 5 years. Why was that becoming an issue? It was becoming an issue because when we did the materiality, it became so important to us that energy was a major issue that was important to the business. And the stakeholders already flagging it. Your products were not always in the market anytime the price of diesel goes up or the price of gas goes up. And so the business started thinking of alternative sources of energy. Another business will say a material issue to us is to ensure that our customer satisfaction index is greater than 80% year on year. Why? It's a QSR industry. The customers want to say, if you promise me I will get my food in 10 minutes, I should get it in 10 minutes. So for them, customer satisfaction is key. How do they know that it is key? It is based on the materiality assessment that the organization has done. So stakeholders aspect provides an idea as to where there may be opposition and the extent of the material risk associated with the stakeholders' interest. Another thing I would then talk about is stakeholders. I've used the word stakeholders a lot. Stakeholder, this stakeholder. So stakeholder is anybody, any individual who can affect or is affected by the activities or achievements of the organization's objective. And stakeholders are a lot: customers, employees, investors, suppliers, government. So for example, as a company now, if I say my aspiration is to reduce my scope 3 emission by 30% in the next 10 years, and I do not engage my suppliers, I'm deceiving myself. Because essentially my scope 3 emission are emissions from my suppliers and my distributors, vendors, contractors. So whatever we do, whatever we pledge to do, I'm an NGO that wants to reduce maternal mortality by 5% in 10 years, and you do not engage the Department of Health, Ministry of Health, you do not do a proper assessment to know where the maternal mortality is high within the country or within your community, then you are deceiving yourself. So whatever we do or we craft out must be based on the stakeholder, aligning with their interest, aligning with their concern, aligning with the method of engaging these stakeholders. And in doing this, what we then need to do is to do a stakeholder analysis. Do a mapping, identify your stakeholders, which is then going to be essential for you to know how best to serve the stakeholders. In analyzing these stakeholders, you know their influence, you know how to manage them, you know how to develop programs and policies that will align to these stakeholders. And as you are doing stakeholder analysis, you are also thinking of what? Materiality analysis. Are we seeing the interlink? And with your materiality analysis, you are able to design your ESG teams, your ESG programs, your ESG initiatives. I decided to take it from backwards, right? You then design your initiatives and you then know what your targets will be as a business. Mendelow's power interest matrix is a very good tool that helps you to categorize your stakeholders. Even you as an individual, who are your stakeholders? Your family members, your colleagues, your friend, your employer, your business partner. You should do this in your personal life to categorize your stakeholders. And then you know who you should keep satisfied, who you should manage closely, who you should keep informed, and who you should monitor all through in this. And with this, you're able to identify their interests, you need to prioritize. And so this is a very good example I have here. Shareholders, for example. The interest of shareholders is high dividend, return on investment. Employees are looking for higher wages and benefits. Government is thinking of more tax and compliance. Communities are looking for more CSR investment, social investment spending. Customers are looking at lower prices, excellent quality products and services. Who can tell me what will be the interest of a supplier? Interest of a supplier. Let's do that quickly. Interest of lenders. Interest of directors. Who can give me the example of that? I'll use my second device to check that through. Yes, I'm looking. Who can give me an example of what will be the interest of a supplier? What will be the interest of a supplier? What will be the interest of a lender? Yes. Who can give me that answer? I'm waiting for that in the chat box. Okay, somebody say low cost of transportation. Yes, for a supplier, good payment. Not just good payment, paying them on time is going to be a supplier. Accessibility, yes, when you're trying to source for raw material, thank you. high raw materials. I saw high raw material demand, yes, for supplier. Correct. A supplier wants to make profit, yes. Yes, timely payment. Thank you very much. Timely payment, accessibility, yes. Quality, good, closeness to market, yes. Customer service, I like that. What will be the interest of a lender, for example? A lender. A lender or a director of a company? Lender means low interest rate. Are you sure the lender wants to give you low interest rate? Lender will say ability to pay back. Thank you. Interest, profit, more interest, prompt repayment, interest rate. Thank you. Thank you for buzzing that up. Okay, let's go on. I like that. Thank you. All right. So we are still here together. Now let's go to the other broad theme. The other concept I want to explain is SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, drum rolls. And these are 17 goals that was set globally in 2015. And each goals have targets that are to be achieved in 15 years. I will take a pause here and give those of us in the sustainability and ESG space a little bit of bashing. And this is where I will give us a bashing. So you are trying to get abreast with what is happening, and on a news item, you see a CEO come and says, we just launched this brand of phone. And with this brand of phone, we have been able to meet SDG. Let me look for one there. SDG climate action. Where's climate action? Yes. SDG 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13. I've been able to meet SDG 13, climate action. Our phone is fine. Our phone is good. With this new phone, we have met climate action. And I will say, how does your phone meet climate action? Because we have been so used to putting the word SDG in everything we say. Somebody is doing a food program to the streets and is distributing food to people. And the person says, hey, I have met SDG 2, zero hunger. I'm like, no, SDGs should not just be taken at the face value. I distribute food, it is zero hunger. No, SDGs have targets. They are targets that tells you things you should do under SDG 1, under SDG 2, under SDG 3. And so as businesses, do not just align your initiatives, your program and strategy to just the goals. Align them to the targets. A target under SDG 3 would say reduce maternal mortality by ABC%. Under SDG 4, we'll say increase the accessibility of education to women in so region by 10% in 10 years. It has to be defined. It has to be direct. It has to be smart. Those objectives have to be smart. So whatever we do, we know the SDG goals are here. We want to achieve it by 2030. And I will say it this year. We will extend this thing. I doubt if we will meet it by 2030. Because the performance on the SDGs by now has even showed that the progress have not been met. But for us to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, it requires the effort of individuals, it requires the effort of government, it requires the effort of organizations. But do not just look at the goals, look at the targets. There are 169 targets. There are 248 indicators under 17 SDGs that we have. So when you are crafting a program, under SDG 1, zero hunger, zero, no poverty, think of the targets. Align your strategies, align your plan, align your stakeholder engagement to these targets. And that way you drive down the impact that you want to achieve with these issues. So this is my own way. I know we know SDGs, but I really want to flag these issues of the way we put SDGs and SDG goals in whatever we say. Having said this, we need to take our roles and responsibility. So what is your own roles and responsibility in building a sustainable business culture? Get informed, mobilize for positive action, engage leadership, engage people for positive change, be compliant, be part of the dialogue. And this is part of why we are all here, 109 of us being here is part of engaging the dialogue. And I like this, set goals. set KPIs, sustainable goals and KPIs, and try to embed sustainability in your journey. Please note that it is a journey. Let's look at frameworks briefly. I'm going to breeze through. These are things we know. So after you've done all your sustainability initiatives, program, targets, and everything, a good practice is for you to have a sustainability report or somewhere you can talk about your performance, where you can roll out your performance in social, in economic, in impact. And so a sustainability report is a way that helps organizations to measure, to understand, and then communicate to everybody what their impacts are. Sustainability report is not just about positive impact. It's also about positive and negative impacts a business must. And that's where transparency comes in, even though it is voluntary. But in some territories, in Europe, it's becoming mandatory. If you have employees of 50 and above. In Africa, yes, some stock markets are mandating sustainability reports. In Asia, also Singapore Exchange also has its own. And so in all of these, whether it is a voluntary endeavor or a mandatory endeavor, note that your sustainability report must be balanced. And so your sustainability report must talk about your positive and your negative impact. And in doing that, you need to consider your global ESG ecosystem. Some of the ecosystem are sustainability reporting framework. Some of them are coalitions like the initiatives. Some of them are standards. Some of them are from rating agency. And you must also align them with your industry and sector specific sustainability and ESG framework and regulation, so that when you are writing your reports, they are robust, they are good. I will give us an assignment. Please look out for sustainability reports when organizations release them. You will be able to see the different frameworks that they use, GRI. Now we have the IFRS, ISSB, and the UNSDG, the SASB, and so on, CDP, and so on. So this is just to flag that when we do what we do, for me as a consultant, sustainability reporting is very important to me, because when the organization do everything and then keep quiet about it, we really don't know the performance that they are making, be it positive or negative. And this is the alphabet soup, GRI, CDP, and so on. I will share this material in the chat box once I'm done, and you could take time to look at it truly. Sustainability reports is a thing that can take you like 3-4 months to write. But the endeavor of a sustainability report actually starts from strategy development, data gathering, and so on and so forth. So these are the steps for sustainability reporting. You develop your strategy, you gather your data, you develop the content, you finalize and you communicate, and you revise with key learning. Borrow me 5 more minutes to talk about the career paths in sustainability and ESG. And I'm giving you this picture. And if you look at this picture, some of them are clear, some of them are not clear, and they are deliberate. I'm not trying to flag any organization. That's why I've taken very tiny pixels of these pictures. There are organizations here that we see. Some of us like them. Some of us want to work in them. Some of us want to work for them, right? Some of them want to engage them. Some of them want to use them as our sponsors. All these organizations all have one role or the other in terms of sustainability or ESG, or require consulting for sustainability or ESG. Barron says they have a ranking of 100 most sustainable companies, but I'm not talking about that. I'm only talking of different organizations. So you as an individual who is in the sustainability or ESG space should first know that it's a journey. We don't become an environment, a ESG or a sustainability expert in one day. It is a journey. Like I've said, yes, some of us will do basic awareness, some of us will be at beginner level, intermediate, advanced, or experts. And even when you become an expert, just like PhD, you zero in on where you are an expert at. So it's a journey. But along this line of journey, it's a series of learning and series of approach of capacity building, mind renewal, behavioral changes that is needed. But these are the kind of roles that are available in the ESG and sustainability space. You can be an analyst where you crunch data for us. You can be a consultant, right? You could be a portfolio manager. You could be a manager, either a sustainability manager, ESG manager, CSR manager, and so on. You can be a reporter where you write sustainability reports, you do like that Apple video. It could be a sense maker. Sense maker looks funny, right? But it means you are the one in the room. Everybody has said different things, but you are the one that provides the solution to the complex sustainability issues, and then you communicate them. And you could be a transformation manager. This is what the C-suite executives do now for sustainability businesses. And then lastly, this is like my own day-to-day work as a C-suite executive. I am always thinking, how do I manage environmental risk? How do I engage investors? How do I foster employee engagement, even though it is under HR? Investors is under investor relation and finance, but I'm also thinking of that because they will ask me ESG questions. How do I collaborate with the supply chain stakeholders, measure performance, measure impact, report them, advocate for sustainability, incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion in our policies and program? And with this, I will have wrapped up. Even though I also freelance, but one thing we've done with Doft Consult Limited is that it is beyond me, it's beyond my partners, is to say it's an avenue to have consultants and people with different expertise in the room to be able to be dynamic and exceptional and also build sustainability as a whole.
Wow. I told you that today's session was definitely going to be power packed. That was, where do I start? That was inspiring, that was insightful. Wow, Mr. Oluwaseun Agbebi, we cannot say thank you enough. Thank you for that inspiring and insightful session today. Thank you so much. Wow, I have learned so much, so many new things on ESG and sustainability. I mean, that was truly power packed. Can we have some hand claps? Let's have some hand claps. Let's have some hand claps in the chat, in the comment section. Let's let Mr. Oluwaseun know how the session was for you. Let him know. Wow, Mr. Oluwaseun, that was just wonderful. Wonderful. Come on, let's have some more hand claps for Mr. Oluwaseun Agbebi. More hand claps. I'm waiting. More. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Oluwaseun. Thank you. I mean, that was beyond inspiring. It was beyond insightful. Thank you. All right, my dear Africa SDG Mentorship Programme fellows, all our mentors and mentees in the house. Wow, okay. So we're going to go right ahead just to a few announcements before we close for today. We are rounding up with our workshop for today, but we do have some announcements for you. Now, following up from last week, we just want to reiterate some things that we already announced to you last week. So first would be concerning our training series. So as you know, we will have another training next week, Thursday. We are going to have another training next week, Thursday. That is the 22nd of August. Same time, 5 p.m. West African time with a GMT +1. You do not want to miss it for anything. Tell your fellow cohort members that they should not miss next week's session. I mean, it is going to be even more power packed than today's session. So remember, next week, Thursday, 22nd August 2024, by 5 p.m. West African time, which is the GMT +1 time, we will be having our next workshop series. And then please remember, concerning the workshop, remember that you are expected to organize a workshop between 10th and 25th of August. This was announced last week. To organize and ensure that, if you haven't started planning with your team by now, please do start your planning. Please do start. If you have not started at all, please do start in earnest, because you have 10 more days to go. And then remember that you must submit your workshop report by the 28th of August 2024. So from now, that gives you about 13 days. You have about 13 days to submit your workshop report. So please make sure you put in your all, be active, help out your team members. Don't be that team member that doesn't contribute anything. Please be a part of helping your team. Remember, this program is much more than just meeting people, much more than just all the activities that we give you, but it gives you an opportunity to network. You're going to meet people who are as passionate about the same things as you are, and you never know where these relationships are going to take you in life, right? So please be involved, please be active, work with your team, and ensure that you contribute to your team's report. Now remember that late submissions will not be accepted. So once again, let me emphasize that the deadline for submission of your report is the 28th of August 2024. And so another thing is a reminder on your book for the month. So remember last week we did announce that the book for the month of August is Leadership, the Power of Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. And last week I told you all about how important it is for you to learn about emotional intelligence, how important it is for you to consider emotional intelligence and for you to be emotionally intelligent. So please ensure that you are already reading this book. It is not for us, it's not for us as AIIDEV Africa, but for you as a person. This is going to help you develop as a person. So please do ensure that you read the book, The Leadership, the Power of Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. You have been given the e-copy of the book, but then remember, we did say that if you would like a physical copy, you could just go to your nearest bookstore and get a hard copy of the book. So I think with that, we have come to the end of all our announcements, all the major announcements. Any other announcement you will be receiving, you would get an email for us certainly. You will get an email from us certainly for any other further announcements, any changes, any updates that you need to be informed about. Please ensure that you always check your email, because you will receive an email from us if there are any other further updates that you need to be notified about. So with that, and without any further ado, I can say that we have come to the end of our workshop, our training for today. Wow, today's training has been wonderful. It's been magnificent, and it's so great to see you all again today. We cannot wait to have you again next week. Remember to stay engaged with your team, be active in the program. Ask questions if you have any questions. We are always here to help you and take you along on this program. So without further ado, I say another very big thank you from all of us at AIIDEV Africa. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being a part of the session for today. God bless you, and we see you again next week, Thursday. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a wonderful evening, a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful rest of your morning, depending on your time zone. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and goodbye. See you again next week, Thursday. Thank you.